So, history class never mentioned the part where Lincoln might still walk the White House at night. Yeah, same. But tonight we're going deep into the shadow files, famous figures who reportedly never left. Here are the top 10. Let's open up the files. Of all places for a ghost sighting, the most heavily protected residence in the United States probably isn't where you'd expect to spot one. But Abraham Lincoln, reportedly, never really checked out of the White House. Multiple visitors, from dignitaries to first ladies, including Eleanor Roosevelt, have claimed to feel his presence or even see his full figure, gazing out from windows of his former bedroom. One Belgian queen fainted after allegedly seeing him near her bed. Even Winston Churchill, who wasn't easily shaken, told aides he stepped out of the bath one evening, cigar in hand, only to lock eyes with Lincoln standing by the fireplace. For a man who carried the weight of a civil war, maybe death didn't feel like a break. Maybe he stayed, just to make sure things didn't fall apart again. Anne Boleyn may have lost her head in life, but apparently she's kept busy in death. Executed under Henry VIII, her headless ghost is one of Britain's most famously reported spirits. Every year, on the anniversary of her beheading, witnesses claim to see a carriage drawn by headless horses arriving at the Tower of London. Riding inside, Anne holding her own severed head in her lap. Classic. But more unnerving are the silent walks reported inside the tower. Glimpses of a woman in Tudor dress gliding across the chapel floor, vanishing at the altar. No footsteps, just presence. A quiet haunting from a woman whose life ended loudly. It turns out even exile couldn't contain Napoleon Bonaparte. The former emperor has reportedly been spotted haunting Fort de Brégançon and even parts of the Louvre. Witnesses have detailed a shadowy, intense figure pacing hallways, his hands behind his back, mumbling in French under his breath. During World War II, a Nazi soldier occupying the area claimed to have heard boots stomping and a man muttering Waterloo repeatedly, though no one else was around. The sightings are rare, but consistent, always with purpose, like he's stuck in a military review, but no one's left to lead. The Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood has its share of stars, and some just won't leave. Marilyn Monroe, once a frequent guest, supposedly still appears near the full-length mirror in her old suite. Maids and guests alike have reported seeing a shimmering, partial reflection in the glass, platinum curls and a familiar red dress. But when they turn around, no one's there. One guest even swears they heard quiet humming in the bathroom, like a scene from one of her films. The hotel doesn't advertise it, but the mirror was once removed due to guest complaints. Then someone put it back. Bold choice. Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's fifth wife, made a desperate run through Hampton Court Palace, screaming for mercy before being dragged back to her death. Locals say that desperate energy never left. The so-called Haunted Gallery hosts nightly reports of icy air, sudden sobbing, and footsteps running where no one is seen. Tour guides say children are especially sensitive to the corridor. Some burst into tears on entry. The weirdest detail? During a renovation, workers discovered fingerprints in the stone walls at shoulder height. As if someone had tried holding on. You can hear it. Yeah, some claim they still can. Blackbeard was beheaded, his body thrown overboard, but he reportedly didn't take that lying down. Off the coast of Ocracoke, North Carolina, sailors have told stories of glowing orbs dancing over the waves, followed by the eerie sound of boots walking the deck of empty ships. Some even claim to hear distant, wet footsteps aboard their boats late at night. In 1942, a Coast Guard crew saw something walk across their deck and vanish straight into the sea. When they reported it, locals just said, "He's back again." Ben Franklin is known for many things, but add ghostly jogger to the list. At the American Philosophical Society building in Philadelphia, staff have long whispered about ongoing sightings of Franklin's spirit, apparently in motion, He's been seen skipping down the stairs or appearing beside his old printing press. In the early 20th century, a statue dedicated to him was reportedly found moved, with dustless footprints in the hallway. Franklin was a man of constant energy. Maybe he just never stopped. Queen Victoria, as it turns out, isn't done ruling. At Balmoral Castle in Scotland, groundskeepers have reported knocks on mirrors and windows when no one's supposed to be in that wing. One staff member said her dog visibly growled at thin air before a clock stopped ticking. Others have heard humming, sometimes with the faint rustling of elaborate skirts dragging across the floor. Her old bedchamber is now kept locked, or so they say. But if you ever visit, maybe knock back. In a story that sounds far too cinematic to not be unsettlingly real, Rasputin, the infamous mystic who counselled the Romanovs, is said to haunt the Moika Palace in Russia, where he was murdered. Staff report strange cold spots in the cellar and feelings of being watched under flickering lights. One tourist took a selfie and later found a bearded figure in the background. There were only 2 people in the room, neither resembling the figure. It's the kind of detail you notice late, after checking your luggage and the closet. Winston Churchill might be the only person on Earth to encounter one ghost and become one himself. Guests and staff at London's the Savoy Hotel still report the faint smell of cigars, followed by the low creak of floorboards near room 705, Churchill's old room. Once a hotel employee heard heavy pacing while the room was supposedly empty. When they opened the door, the room lights blinked on. No one inside. War leaves trauma. But maybe peace leaves questions. And Winston, he might just be watching history unfold, one hotel night at a time. Thanks for sticking around. And hey, if someone knocks 3 times on your wall tonight, maybe don't answer. Be sure to like, subscribe, and if you're into this kind of eerie history, we've got a new drop every weeknight. You're part of something strange now, and I'm really glad you're here. That was your dose of the unknown. See you in the next file. Subscribe for more of the unknown.